I'm Ash of X of Words.
I'm Brett.
I'm EvilJeff.
And I'm Khaliden.
Hey everybody, welcome to the big crossover we are calling Referential 97. So go listen to Khalid's podcast, and this is also Words 97. We have great nerd guests talking to us about X-Men 97, the nostalgia cartoon that we are loving / hating / crying about / obsessed with / don't want to be obsessed with.
Let's go. Alerts! Have you sent in an email for our post-finale mailbag? If you haven't, then please email us at 97sessions@gmail.com. That is 97sessions@gmail.com. Now back to the show.
I love you deeply. My sister of sisters. I love you. Continue.
Fuck the family.
The family. Fuck my husband.
All right, no. So, okay. I'm just going to go into the intro because I feel like we're on episode 10 now and we need to get into it. We need to get into our feelings. We need to start wrapping up the season. So, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody beyond and between. Actually, Ash.
Oh.
I'm actually quite proud of us.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
No, genuinely, because given the first conversation we ever had about the podcast, we have managed to get the L, the G, the B, the T, the Q, the A, and a couple of sissy S's. We really met that goal of really wanting to represent these stories being written about us in the conversation around. And when we were trying to figure out who we should have as our finale guest, we really struggled to come up with just one name.
Oh, is it a stunt? What's going on?
So instead of that, we got two. So I'd like to welcome to the third and the fourth chair. We have with us the comic book queers (legacy) Brett and EvilJeff.
Hey!
Yeah! Woo!
Oh my goodness. We are so honored to be your
3
finale
seconds of
guest.
homosexual noises.
Gay squawking says the subtitle if we're sub-captioning these.
We are so excited, and you're just fresh off of your tricentennial episode where you finally made your pivot to cam girls, which congratulations. How's that been feeling? How's that been going?
For me, it's going great because I'm not the one that has to try to upload us watching a Disney property onto YouTube.
Yeah. It's been a learning experience, but it's fun. It's also when you spend so much time just doing audio podcasts, you forget you actually have to look good. And so that's been a struggle for me. It's like, oh, whoops, I didn't bathe. And now I have to be on YouTube.
That really has been the best part of our audio podcast is that nobody knows how heinous and busted we are. But now, now that's something we have to contend with.
Not bathing. It's been the best part of doing a podcast. Didn't have to shower for 4 days.
I mean, we've all been in that depressive pit, but let's not dwell on it too much.
We live here.
On that point, though, we jump straight to the 300th episode. Can you give us a bit of the backstory? How did Comic Book Queer's legacy start? Because, like I said, you are one of the OG queer nerd podcasts out here.
Listen, girl, I'll do you one better. We are the OG queer nerd podcast.
The first.
Okay.
Should we just to take it real personal and real back? So this is Brett. I moved to Chicago in 2006, and this was when podcasts first came out.
Yeah.
This was the pre-Serial heyday of podcasts when they were a thing and then they disappeared, and then Serial happened and they were a thing again. So they were a thing before they disappeared. I found one called Comic Book Queers. It was on their 8th episode, and I was like, oh my god, gay people talking about comic books, but they never talked about X-Men. And then they dropped a local reference, a neighborhood reference, and I was like, wait, you could be anywhere in the world. And I emailed them, also new at the time, was like, are you in Boys Town? And they're like, yes. And I was like, can I come over and talk about X-Men? And they were like, yes. It was 2 of them at the time. So then I became their third, something I'm used to. Then the 3 of us did the show for a while, and then one of them left, and we brought EvilJeff on to replace one of those original founders.
And then the rest is history.
Tell us about the house that you built.
It's been 84 years.
Well, that's the crazy thing is I was obsessed with the X-Men, but then I went to art school and was like, oh, I don't read comics anymore. I'm making art. So I kind of stopped reading X-Men. So I knew everything about X-Men up until high school.
Yeah.
I came onto this podcast and they're like, you know stuff about X-Men. I'm like, I know OG X-Men stuff. I was just cracking jokes and being crazy. They asked me to come on. And that's when I was like, oh, there's so much I've missed. And so then I had to go back and read like 14 years, like 12 years of X-Men.
And like
comics.
not the good ones, like the Scott Lobdell days.
Yeah,
I was
it
gonna
all
say you've
crap.
got like the rough story arcs.
Yeah, but then Brett moved to New York. I moved to LA. We stopped doing the podcast, and then it was like, what was it, 2016, 2017?
Well, we were both in Chicago when we brought it back in 2017 because we both quit the show to do comedy and stuff. And then I was running my own comedy theater, and then I shut that shit down because we don't need to be running a business on the side anymore.
Eat the rich!
We were like, oh no, the comedy theater's gone. What should we do? And then we were like, oh, we should become a podcast network. And the hook show, said my friend, is you bring back comic book queers. And I was like, me? And he's like, what would you want it to look like? And I was like, who was that hoe? Jeff, I think. I want to do it with her. And so I called up her and I was like, let's bring the show back, girl. And here we are.
Yeah.
So you, like you said, you are the OG queer nerd podcast. So how has it felt watching all your children pop up over the past couple of years? Because when Krakoa struck, there was a boom, wasn't there, all of a sudden?
It was such a boom. Do you know that scene in Showgirls where Nomi Malone pushes Gina Gershon down the stairs?
You fucking for the spot, or you fucking because you wanted to?
It felt like I was Gina Gershon.
Yeah, we're the Gina Gershons.
We're the Gina Gershons.
I brought you here today. I said this is for the podcast, but actually it's for you to confront your nemesis, the competition on the block. So Ash, do you have anything to say?
I've actually never spoken English.
Well, Duolingo, bitch. Come on, bring. You better speak up.
Now, why?
It's incredible to have so many shows, just people from everywhere, just having this conversation that we're having right now and that we're having online and that we've been having for years. And that has really kind of heightened with this X-Men 97. Like it really, Gina Gershon aside.
You don't want to piss me off, darling, now that we're friends.
It is wonderful. And we've made so many friends and met so many people. And like we have something to do when we go to cons, and like we've got a posse and it just feels amazing.
That's the reality of it. I think doing these sort of things really connects you to people in a way that I didn't expect. I thought there'd always be an intermediary. I thought we'd always be sort of shoulder to shoulder looking at something together. Whereas very quickly we started looking at each other. The people
you had a community form.
Yeah, like they just made me like a better reader, a better person is a bit of a stretch, but also kind of. Since it's people who actually make podcasts here, fuck it. Why not tell the truth? There's a lot of shit that you learn doing this that fundamentally improves you as a person. Like I'm 10 times better of a listener now, having listened to myself, listened to people poorly for the last 4 years. I've transformed the way that I speak, the way that I listen, and hopefully how good of an ear I am to people.
It's true. Ash is actually American. Can you believe that?
I detected a little Oklahoma.
Yeah.
In the accent? Yeah.
That's Chinese, actually.
Yes.
That would have been my next guess.
Like, I don't know how long I keep having to tell people I don't speak English.
You're like ABBA, where you phonetically learned like every line for this podcast.
Yeah.
And scene for the actress.
Yes. And speaking of that, actually, this is the perfect time for me to cue you, Ash, to tell people what they've been listening to.
Oh, hi, it's my bit. Hey, you are listening to the 97 Sessions. This is a big crossover between X-Men 97 and Referential. You know what it is? We're doing mutants. It's me and Khalid. It's a little bit longer than usual, but still just as reckless. We're lovely. You're lovely. It's lovely to see you. Hi.
Great. Okay, well, let's get right into it then. X-Men 97. How have you guys been feeling about it?
It became my whole goddamn personality. It really, and not having one in this past week. Who am I? Why am I here? What is this? We're living in a world where people think Cyclops is cool now. I have always wanted this world. This is the world I've always wanted to live in. It's like when the MCU took off. I just had this feeling of like, told you everybody, I was right. The things I like are the coolest.
How about you, Evil?
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. It's kind of like, although it's like if you ever taken like Molly, I'm bringing up drugs already, where you're going to feel amazing, but then afterwards, you are going to feel so empty and hollow and terrible.
The breeze is gone.
Because after the first episode, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be my favorite thing ever. And it's only going to go for 10 episodes. So this last episode actually was very sad for me because it's like, that's it. I mean, I know we're going to get get a season 2 and stuff like that. But I'm just like, I don't know what to do now, especially because I am not happy with the comics right now.
Girl.
We're all in agreement.
It's fucking toxic.
Preach, bitch.
This was all I had. This is all I have.
Yeah, I think something that we've been saying a lot is that it's been really nice to have an X-Men something that I'm just enjoying talking about, enjoying seeing people talk about that is not the comic books, because it's bad out there. It's bad out there. But hey, we move on. X-Men. Ash, do you think it's time for the recap? Maybe.
Let's do it. I mean, we've had the group morning session. So, Jeff, Brett.
Tolerance Is Extinction Part 3.
Was it? We are in Vietnam, and
Exterior.
and two men are on a date. No, it's just Magneto and Xavier, and they're like, "Oh my god, are you a mutant? Oh my god, I'm a mutant."
Isn't it weird? It was so queer coded. It was like, so they're in the bar and they're talking and they're like, mutants are a thing. No, they're not. Yes, they are. I'm one. I'm one too. We're not going to kiss.
Well, then it turns out they're in his head, that it's not real.
They're in his head. See, this is going great. This is exactly what you're going to get
This
from
is everything
the two oldest gays
This is
on the
amazing.
planet.
So does it cut? It cuts to Bastion and Jean is under the sea.
We see Ariel. Nope, it's Jean.
We see
It's
Ariel
under the water
she's
dying.
like, I'm going to steal your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband was like, oh my God, Jean Grey drowned. And I was like, you idiot. And then I think what happened was like Bastion grabs Storm by the throat. He's choking many women in this episode. He grabs Storm by the throat and then her eyes go white and she rains thunder. Oh no, that's not what happened.
No.
That's what we wanted to happen.
That's what we wanted to happen.
What actually happened?
Oh, and then Phoenix, a concept I am not familiar with. Phoenix comes out of the lake. She is on fire, and she turns Mr.
Sinister into Elmer Fudd, and it was like it was Elmer Fudd all along.
It was a very Otho from Beetlejuice moment where it's like polyester suit. And then we go back to our lovers from Vietnam, and they're like, oh my God, ew, we're inside my head, and I don't even know who I am anymore. I have amnesia.
Yeah, and then Magneto's all like Willow from season 6 of Buffy, where he's like, I fucking hate everything. I'm just gonna destroy the entire world. And he's like, well, what about the mutants? And he's like, they'll figure it out. And then they're just like fighting. But finally, is this when Xavier takes over his mind? Am I right?
Yeah, he starts like taking over his mind, and then we cut to the reality where they are. They're on Asteroid M. Logan is laid out. Rogue is all of a sudden fine. She's like, hey, y'all, we're best friends, right? We're like, you just hit me. And then they go to war. They like, they have it, Magneto and Xavier on the ship, and they're like unconscious. Oh my God, our gay love is trying to get through. Yeah.
It's like when you're at a party with two ex-boyfriends, it's like, oh my God, it's the worst.
Bastion goes beside Complex Bastion, and he flies up to Asteroid M, and he's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you. And then they fight. The rest of the team comes in with a Sentinel and takes Bastion down. And then this is where Storm has her Omega moment. It's Omega empathy for a genocidal maniac. So
we'll talk about that after the recap, because I have a whole lengthy issue with that. And then meanwhile, the president of the United States was like, hey, there's a big asteroid above New York. We should shoot a missile at it.
We should shoot missiles at it so that it flies backwards into the sun.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah, and so they do that, and then the Bastion's like, you know what? I am a good boy. Oh no, human missiles! And then the missiles take down Asteroid M. The X-Men do everything they can. I love Beast is like, I know, I have a plan. I've thought of it. Everyone used their powers at the same time. Genius. And then Xavier finally shakes Magneto and is like, don't you get it? You're gay. And he wakes up, saves everybody, and then boop, explosion that feels weird.
Yeah.
And then Val Cooper, not Mystique, is like, where did they go? And then we find out what happened because Bishop, remember him from 8 years ago? He shows up and he's like, don't you see? I'm the bridge to season 2. And we're like, oh.
And then it turns out it was Apocalypse all along.
It was Apocalypse all along.
Yeah.
Which we called, by the way.
Yeah.
This is like every time you think you're done, there's a little bit more. So you're just like, yep.
Okay, we're done. And we're done.
And half of them are in the future. Half of them are in the past.
Right, the future.
In the future,
okay,
giving
yeah. So then,
lemon red.
Rogue and her brother Nightcrawler are like, oh my god, we're in Egypt. The sand, it's ruining my hair. And then they're like, who's this hot guy with really big blue lips?
He's so hot.
In the future, it's like, hey, Gene, it's me, Scott. All of our kids are 3,000 years in the future for some reason. And there's Rachel and Nathan,
Mother
hanging out in the
Ascani.
future. Yeah.
And Gene's like, did you say ass? You're not my daughter.
After credit scene?
After credit scene is Apocalypse.
Apocalypse is basically like, guess what I'm going to do with Gambit? Something.
Guess what? In the cartoon, I'm still evil.
Yeah.
And I'm coming in season 2.
They need to rewrite him because in the X-Men cartoon, he was pretty lame.
Truly.
And that was the recap. X-Men! I think that might be my favorite recap so far. We've had some contenders, so well done. Well done. All right, so what did we all think about this episode?
This was the episode where Jubilee did the thing, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, she finally did the spins.
That was my favorite moment of the episode. Jubilee fucked off at some point. She took Sunspot with them and they just did something completely different while the entire world was ending. They were like, at dinner. They were in that woman's house for 4 straight days. Think about how much shit happened in the A plot and they were still at the dinner table in the B plot. They lived in there for a while. She went into a video game. She kissed the guy. She cussed out his mum. She changed outfit one time. She beat a robot. She went home. Like, incredible weekend. But when Jubilee fucked up Bastion, I was like, excellent. We didn't watch all that shit for nothing.
Yes.
I was going to say, I really like the broken glasses that she got. I want her to keep that as a look.
Right? I was into it.
Looks good.
Notoriously, EvilJeff and I hate Jubilee, but when they had her with them cracked glasses, I was like, this.
Although
this
for
is
me,
hot.
I'm like, if I was a bad guy, I'd be like, oh, you don't have an eye. So, oh well. It's like ponytails and capes. Awful. Like, they're just such easy targets.
Yeah, I agree. How about you, Evil? What was your favorite moment of the episode?
The top 2 things I will say is fucking the gayness of Morph confessing his love to Wolverine. That was crazy. And then just seeing Shadowcat's face in the board of possible mutants to join the X-Men.
board.
Because that's the thing that I have been missing in this show, because I want a Shadowcat, not a Jubilee. So the fact that she could be coming, I'm freaking out.
So that's the root of the Jubilee hatred.
Yes,
surely
she's no Shadowcat. But like
Yeah.
Shadowcat's always, Kitty Pryde has always been our audience character. She's like, we've always seen Kitty first and foremost showing up at the mansion or like falling through a floor and they'd be like, what is this? What are mutants? What are X-Men? And just the fact seeing like an established Kitty Pryde out there is jarring.
Yeah, I agree. I like the idea of every season of this show having a new point of view character. There's that whole discussion about how the Genosha episode is meant to be a 9/11 parallel, or like that, and a Pulse shooting massacre parallel. Having someone you mentioned always in my mind is Dust. She was on that board, and so like I think having her as a point of view character for next season could be like really interesting, dealing with like the post 9/11 sort of themes with mutants. It's right there.
Yes.
I am a bit concerned because the one thing that rubbed against me this episode, we all seem to have agreed that Magneto was wrong.
One of the moments I felt most alive during the run of the show was when Scott Summers in that interview with Trish Tilby said, "It's because you're normal." And I was like, is he radicalized? Are we doing this? I really did think we could have pushed the X-Men being done a little bit more than going back to kind of the 90s superhero morality of TV at the time, which was like, no, you have to take the high road.
What do you think, Ash?
I think this last episode, as fun as the ride has been, I think it's just demonstrative of the general failings of sort of X-Men as a larger sort of mega corporation shit and da-da-da-da-da, because they have to wrap it up. And all of the really interesting deep storylines we got through Magneto then have to be undercut by one really weird megalomaniacal turn. Like, what the? Why the fuck? None of that made any sense, but he had to do it so you could go, bad guy.
Yep.
You know, Bald Cooch could come back and go, look, I'm back to save my children, and then turn back on the genocide machine in the middle. I'm like, have we lost the Bastion plot here? You want to put the batteries back in? We don't want to wait 10 minutes, maybe? Yeah. And I've kind of felt like there was a bit of a convenient season ending tying up up that didn't always make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I lived for the pew pew and the punch punch.
Yeah, I think that's where my main issue, and this happens in the X-Men comics a lot, where they decide to stand down against Bastion at the last minute. And here's the thing, is that could make sense, but you were straight up slicing and dicing these enslaved sentinels that are just humans. We'll slice and dice and murder them. But when the mastermind that wants to genocide the entire world, they're like, wait a minute, we're X-Men and we don't kill.
He just hates himself too.
It drives me crazy because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think we said this like literally in the first episode review, is that we want these X-Men to punch fascists. Actually, we want them to kill fascists.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think what Ash was saying as well, I agree with, is that is a frustration that, and it's also, I think it also links to something else that we've been talking about, which is the fact that a lot of these revolutionary or identity sort of conversations and narratives that we're having are coming through like the mouths of white characters. And ultimately, when we end up in the wash, having something where like the story is really mostly interested also in those white characters, it's all very uneven.
Yes.
That said, I really did enjoy the show because I like the X-Men. So, so I like these characters, so I'm going to enjoy it. Some things that I hope in the next season they address or they start doing more, especially like, I mean, we mentioned Storm earlier, but let's talk about that now. I mean, where was Storm this season, but this episode, where was she?
Jeff started blinking like quadruple time.
Yeah, I think sometimes when someone's so powerful, it's easy to put them on the back burner because otherwise she would just show up and just end it all in like 3 seconds. They need to address that. And this happens in the comics as well. The amount and extent of people's powers change to help the plot go along. And I think the thing is they made Storm so powerful, they kind of almost had to have her in the back a little bit because otherwise she's like, I fucking got this. Everybody go home. I got it because I'm the best.
Platinum albums. Okay. Albums of plural. Yes.
I definitely want more Storm, especially because if you have her off the team for so long, you need to then bring her back with a vengeance and have her more into it. But I think they were definitely wanting to just focus on Xavier, Magneto, Scott, and Jean. I think it's like this last episode, they were like, we're going to focus on them, and everyone else is kind of in the background.
The X-Men adaptation stories always return to Magneto and Xavier, and it's happening again. How do we feel about that?
I don't mind it doing that. Let's stop doing queer coded. And I know for a fact that Beau DeMaio wanted them to kiss. And that is the Disney higher-ups being like, we can't do this. I like the idea if all of this shit is happening because of a breakup. That makes it infinitely more interesting to me. That it's like, no, it's not about human versus mutant. It's really like, you were the best fuck I ever had, and now you broke my heart. And so I'm going to end the world. Like, that's more fun to me. And so let's go in that direction. Otherwise, we can just kill off Xavier and Magneto.
How about you, Brett?
I think it's clear that their politics and their way of the world is kind of from a previous generation. And I would love to see leadership take over that is more representative of the way we are seeing the world now.
Right.
With that radicalization of the X-Men. Not we're all radicalized, but I think we're all a little bit more fed up than we were decades ago when this cartoon was out. And I think that we understand that certain solutions are not really viable in today's world anymore. That was kind of what I got excited about in that Scott interview moment was, okay, are we going to put the dream aside? Because the dream is a little stale. And are we going to replace it with something that's a little bit more representative of where we are today?
For a better story, we need the center to like move beyond them.
Yeah.
I'm a bit more interested in the revelations of the children rather than like the teachings of the fathers at this point, How about you, Ash? What do you feel?
Right. Now, listen here, bitch.
Who you calling a bitch? No. Let's restart that sentence.
You can call me a bitch. I'm fine with it.
He likes it.
I do.
Jeff trying to jump in the middle. It's fine. I'm the bitch. Just don't know.
It's me. I'm the bitch.
It's me. X-Men. I think that this is always going to be fucking stupid. The focus on Magneto and Charles, I think, is bullshit. And actually, really, really hurts the metaphor generally. Because how many times can we tell a literal Holocaust survivor that he's got a chip on his shoulder? And actually, like, if one person here has lived the receipts of the things that these people are trying to do, it feels like this sort of faux weak white liberalism, going oppression is bad, but resistance is worse. And it's just really, really fucked up. How many times can we keep doing this? It locks us. At some point, you have to realize that this is ultimately, if we go down to the brass tacks of it, this is a property that was created to teach white people that racism is bad.
Yo, can I spit some bars for you real quick?
Yeah.
Oppression is bad, which means we're stuck on lesson 101. So for some of us who are at lesson 23, we keep looking back to this thing going, when is it going to advance? If they do that, they're going to lose their mainstay. And if they actually start stepping forward, and one of the reasons I think Krakoa was such a contentious idea, instead of it being oppression 101, it shifted into resistance 101 a little bit. What does autonomy look like? What does self-determination look like? What are the things that you have to do to leverage that really socio-politically, culturally on a global stage? And people went, whoa. What gods? Resistance, uppity.
Ethno-state.
Yeah, and you really wouldn't need one if you didn't make the 6-foot robots. There seem to be a lot of those, actually.
Like most popular Marvel superheroes brand is now on all of them.
Yeah, and bearing in mind, now it's hilarious because he's been watching them for ages. Tony Stark was building a robot, looking up, seeing them flying over to roast a bunch of 12-year-olds in the middle of New York, and was like, well, what you gonna do?
What am I going to do about robots? Nothing I can do there.
I have no experience in this area.
Robots. Robotic.
I did, again, like seeing Tony and Captain America in the room. They were deciding we're going to bomb Magneto. We were deciding we're not going to give a fuck about the mutants because, like, I guess I bring them up because I know, I didn't look this time, but I know the discourse is raging about those boys not doing enough for the mutants. But I just feel like I think it works within the story.
I mean, having a weapons manufacturer and a guy with the flag on the chest, that was as close as you get to looking the thing in the face.
But we focused on, like, we went straight to, like, our critiques. Let's talk about some nice things.
In the end, all of these are because this show is on these golden handcuffs that Disney put on. Yeah. But if Disney wasn't there, the show wouldn't even be happening. So you kind of have that kind of either or, this is kind of the best that we can get. But just the ability to see these characters, this is the closest to the comic book that that I've ever seen these characters portrayed. And that is what I just love about this show. It's not some director being like, I have a vision of what the X-Men should be. And I'm like, I don't care about your vision, horrible Dark Phoenix director.
On that point, actually, I remember that you said that in your last episode. This is the most X-Men thing been put on screen. Why do you think that is? What is it about it that you think it captures about the X-Men so well?
Honestly, I think it's made by people that were clearly fans of X-Men. And they're like,
huge.
Hey, do you know what's a great story? This thing Chris Claremont wrote. And you know what we should do? We should do the amazing story that Chris Claremont did. And we have to rework it in this context. But all of the stories are there. And so they're honoring all the stories and the histories of the characters that made it so great. Where a lot of times, that X-Men movie where Psylocke showed up, I'm like, it's Psylocke. And then she just comes out of a shadow. And I was like, what was that, X-Men 3? No, from X-Men Last Stand. And you're like, yeah, that's what you're going to do? Go screw yourself.
Yeah.
Or when Celine just keeled over.
I was about to go there. Celine, who stood in Central Park and pointed at Xavier, and that was how he captured Celine and her
Dark
essence.
Phoenix, where it's like, our biggest battle is we have to cross the street to get into this house.
I will say, I think that as Emma Frost fans, we have suffered more than most.
Oh, the indignity.
Turn this off.
I have a story about that.
Yeah. Okay. The gays are in the room here. Let us discuss the one, the only, the queen, Emma Frost. Go.
January Jones was so bad as Emma
How
Frost,
bad was she?
that I got into a car accident and flipped my car on the way home from seeing X-Men First Class and almost died.
January Jones almost killed EvilJeff.
This is what trauma looks like. This is what trauma looks like.
You died?
Almost died.
I thought you said you died. It was so bad.
Emotionally, I
and died.
No, when that car, I turned and saw the car coming. I'm like, bring it. I can't live in this world where January Jones is Emma Frost.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Can I ask, just for the avoidance of doubt, whether that actually happened?
Yes, that really happened.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. I laughed
I
a lot.
flipped my car on the 101 and rolled it and totaled my car and almost died. But I ended up walking away from it and was only minorly injured. But yeah, that was, thank you, January Jones. Ugh.
Good thing EvilJeff has always done well under pressure.
We're gonna get a cease and desist so fucking quick.
Yeah, we are Emma stans, because for me, ever since she snapped Cassandra Nova's neck in Grant Morrison's X-Men, she became the best character ever.
And that is both of our panel. That was the inciting panel, was lucky for you, this is a Louis Vuitton. That was it.
I cannot believe it took you that far. For me, it was from breeding, darling, top class breeding. I was like, oh, okay. That's mother.
Yep.
Hi, mom.
That's amazing too. Yes. I'm hoping that this show will honor Emma the way I want to in the second season.
The White Queen welcomes you to die.
I'm hoping that we get the Emma that we need coming up. One thing I will give the show is that it has really managed to really capture a lot about these characters, even if I have like a bit of nuances. Something that's really struck me with this season and this episode is this is the most I've seen Jean do, I think, ever. Like, oh, look, the Cosmic Chicken is here, fine. But like, still, I'm very excited. And it's nice to see Jean actually be active.
And that was my favorite part, actually, was the Phoenix moment of that episode, because that was when my husband said, sit down to me, because I was up. I was jumping. I was screaming, she's here. I'm picking up kitchen utensils. I went dark. I don't know what happened.
She was here for 5 minutes exactly. And then she was like, all right, y'all got this.
To the point of like overly powered characters. She was like, the Phoenix Force is gone now. And we're like, oh.
Okay.
The Phoenix Force died on its way to space.
That was the thing where she's like, it came because I was in trouble. If I was an X-Men and we're like, uh-oh, we're in trouble, I would pull out a gun and just shoot Jean in the head so the Phoenix would come and save us.
Sniper! You know what I said last episode is that it is my theory that green dress is like a stat boot, like a video game stat boot, that she'll get an extra life every single time she puts it on. And that's the only reason she'll put on that dreadful garment.
I like that outfit. I'm in the minority.
It takes all sorts.
That boomerang mask and that polyester green 60s jumpsuit. I'm here for it.
I did think the show is successful in bringing out an essence of each character. And I really think that is what it held over. First of all, it wasn't a Wolverine focus. But second of all, it really understood who each character at their heart is and brought that out. Even the Emma moments. I mean, poor Jeff, what I put him through with like all my Emma Frost speculation. I was like, she's going to be the star of the show. They're going to change the title to Emma Frost 97. But at least they knew she's a one-liner character. She's our comic relief. She's our quip, and she can serve that, and she did. Is it the dress? I've always done well under pressure. Like every line had that sass.
Just on that Emma note, is that I do feel like there is an element of this Emma that's just a bit like maybe 5% jizz, just like 5%.
My character jizz?
Yeah, I think like 5% in this depiction. So I just want to give you your flowers for that. Thank you so much, EvilJeff.
Oh, okay, sure. Yes.
We just want to take a moment. Moving on.
I would love to redo her voice. Like, I'm going to take over as her voice in the jizz voice.
I got the Storm market cornered, so you can have that.
Everything. Storm had no mask. Storm got choked out, and then they wrapped her up in that nasty fucking metal spaghetti, and she was sitting there laughing in the back.
Why are you down there?
Go do something. I need you to do something.
You know what it is for me? I've started looking at Storm in the show with like the filter of what you said a couple of episodes back. Storm has quiet quit from the X-Men ever since she hopped on.
She was finished. She was finished.
She's like, I'm just here for the photo shoots. That's it. That's all you'll get from me.
The second Jean turned up, she said, all these white people have been crazy. She lost her power. She was on that bus in a second. She said, my ticket is booked. She didn't say goodbye to nobody. Text, right? Heard you lost your baby. XOXO. Get better.
No, that's the thing. When she saw Genosha happened, she turned that off and went right back to screwing for it. Like she was like, "I'll be there in a minute." Ugh.
Finished, absolutely finished. She said, "You mean to tell me you want me to come and dirty up my good clothes, my good church clothes over there with you?" Oh no, honey, these boots are new. Like I can't believe everyone just wasn't looking this. If a Sentinel was holding me and Aurora Monroe is to my left, I'm not thinking about what Bastion is saying. I'm looking at her straight in the face. Are we gonna do something about this?
I'd be like, Storm, you've got like 17 things you can do right now. We've got heat,
Yeah.
we've got wind, we've got lightning. Like,
Yeah, and like we joke about it, we do joke about it, but I think like for me, Storm and Jean are comparable. In fact, Jean's probably arguably more powerful with the Phoenix, right? But Jean got so many more areas to showcase not only a narrative story, an emotional story, but get into the heart of what the fucking series is about. Like this show gets maybe 1.5 times better when it's fighting. That's the big show moments. This is a big action show, and Storm kind of just got taken away from the action.
I think especially because the first few episodes before she lost her powers, she was really being showcased of how awesome she is. And ever since she got her powers back, they didn't showcase her in that same way.
And also that they took away, I think, maybe her biggest moment while being depowered, which is winning that fight against Cyclops in the comics.
Yes.
Now we don't have
I wanted her to come back and have that fight with Cyclops. Because Storm has one of the most rich, in-depth character arcs in all of the X-Men. And I appreciated that they were addressing a lot of it, but I did not like how they're like, we're just going to separate her out and address them in these 2 episodes and then ignore everything else.
I know, like I wanted her to blow up some shit, and especially even if you buy into this idea that Storm's hugely powerful, we ramped up to like asteroids, giant unkillable robot. Like that was situations where she should have been able to cut loose a little bit. It kind of felt like Power of Love became a thing, and I was like, let's keep on the lightning. Let's circle back around to the lightning quick before. When Bastion was literally like trying to keep the big heavy shoe off himself, and then they all started doing monologues, and I was like, fry him.
Yeah, we didn't really need a Steven Universe monologue for Bastion. Like that aside, I think Storm is a supporting player on the show. She's not one of the leads at the moment.
I think she needs to be one of the leads.
That's where I thought it was going, because Operation Zero Tolerance, Scott leaves the team, and so I was like, oh, that's where we're headed. Scott's going to leave, and Storm will.
I like the frenetic pace of it. I've been saying this for the whole season. Nobody is getting a full storyline. Nobody gets more than 2 bullet points. I just wanted that speed cramming to happen. There were some characters that really got like shortchanged, and Wolverine, I think, looked like a really conscious choice. He was in the show, but he wasn't a
deliberate.
Yes. Plot. Nightcrawler just turned up to do one cool thing and was gone. He did a speech, he did a backflip, he stabbed some people, and that was it. Like
that seems to be something that is happening with more than her. That is happening with Storm. I would say, even though he's not my favorite, Beast isn't really like part of the narrative push of the story, and Morph didn't really have much to do as well. And when you're looking at those 3 characters, the 3 most marginalized characters in this franchise, in this story, should be part of the main thrust of the narrative. I've been rewatching Young Justice lately, and one thing that I really noticed rewatching that was how every single character goes from point A to point B by the end of the first, like the season. You know, like they have a story, they have like a path, and I can't really say that completely for every character on this show. I hope that's something that's fixed in the future, but that's a hope, not so definite.
I think that's a limit, though, of it's just this season should have been 20 episodes, not 10. Like Young Justice is a lot of episodes. So they have that time to develop. And so I think that's where, because they're handcuffed with only 10 episodes, they are trying to tell too much. And so things are going to get shortchanged. With how popular these are, they really should be doing a longer series.
Or at the very least, like longer episodes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this was the first episode where I felt like the fast pace and amount of plot didn't rub off me because the episode could handle it.
Yeah, one thing I want to go back to the Storm storyline, and I thought the intentions were right, but the execution was sloppy, is you had her life-death episode in tandem with the Shi'ar episode, and a lot of that came down to the lie of the colonizer, the lie of the oppressor, that you are inferior unless you act like us. And I did like that Storm's lack of power came from not just the executioner's device, but from believing the lie that she had to, maybe I do want to be human, which was odd. But okay, we'll go with it.
It was super weird.
Super weird from a storytelling standpoint. I understood how you had to establish that because you wanted to delve into the self-loathing that happens when others tell you this is not what you're supposed to be if you want to be good, normal, right, whatever. And I did like that she did have to get over the belief in the lie and the self-loathing in order to get her agency and her power back. I just wish that would have culminated in somebody saying to her, like, you're nothing, you're a mutant, you don't matter, like, you know, just assimilate. and
within the
her being like,
story.
no, fuck you, and blowing them away.
Mm.
I see in there a story about oppression and colonization, because you had the Shi'ar, then the ultimate colonizers, and Xavier saying to them, like, you're based in nothing. You are based in stealing other cultures, and there's nothing real about you. I did like that parallel. I thought it went into a really sloppy execution.
Yeah.
Xavier ain't shit. Xavier ain't shit. Because he only said that when they said he couldn't rule the fucking kingdom. He was going to marry that woman and he was going to run it. He had on the big gold boots. He had on the headdress. He was bought in.
He even said, like, my God, you're so dramatic. He was so... He played the role of like, this isn't how you're supposed to act. Ugh.
Well, it's no wonder he fell for him, because he does look kind of like an egg. But at the same time, yeah,
egg
fuck
boy.
that man.
Fuck egg boy.
It just dawned on me that we are hitting almost an hour, and I've yet to ask you for your ratings. So, out of a rating of 97, EvilJeff, could you please give me a rating out of 97 and tell me why?
Out of 97, I'm going to give it... God, I just want to give it a 69 because it's so stupid.
I told you this shit did not work. I told you this.
It's your scale.
I'm going to give it like an 85. There's things that I want more of. There's things I wanted less of. There's things that annoyed me. But overall, it has me riveted. It has me emotionally invested. And these fight scenes are so good. The fight scenes are so good. I still love it. All of these things of me saying how much of all my complaints with it, I still adore it.
Brett, could you give me your rating out of 97?
I actually was going to give it an 86.
Say more.
Because I used to be a
You need to
server
be better
for
than me. Okay.
No, because I like to one up EvilJeff.
Isn't the Price is Right?
Isn't that awful when people do that to one another? When she's like, oh, I don't know, what about 2,500? And then someone goes, 2,501. Like, that is the most cunty shit on daytime television you've ever seen. But speaking of daytime television, the thing I thought X-Men succeeded at, and it hit me immediately, was that it went into soap opera. It knew, which is something the movies never did.
Relationships.
Exactly. And camp, like high camp, high drama, like Amnesia, Evil Clone. I mean, these are all soap opera trappings, and that was, I thought, the ultimate success of the show, in addition to the action, which was fucking incredible, the soap opera aspect being there. But I was a server for a while, and 86 was like, we're out of this, and so we have to kill it. And so it's like, what I'm out of is patience for this story about an oppressed people being about the passing ones, being about Scott and Jean and not Morph and Nightcrawler. That's the thing I think we need to work on.
Yeah.
You really killed it when I think that point you made about them really focusing on the, if you're basic, less complicated mutants.
Yeah.
Is really it.
Before I ask Ash their rating, actually, there is a question I did want to ask you, Brett, because I know that you work in PR. So I was thinking about the idea of the event sizing of this show, this weekly episode, because one thing that I feel is that the X-Men should be a TV show, not a movie, even though we've got news for like movie writers. So I was wondering if you could talk about what you feel like that created, this weekly drop release kind of structure.
One thing I'll say about Michael Leslie, who just got hired as the potential MCU X-Men writer, the first thing I did was I Googled, is Michael Leslie gay? Because come on, like, give me something. Yeah. Are we really doing a straight white British writer? Okay. The PR. I think that event TV is such a great thing, taking us on an emotional journey. Anticipation, excitement, engagement, and reflection was one of the smartest things that this show did, because it did pack a lot into each episode, even though it wasn't nearly enough for us and biffed a lot of things. I do like event TV because a big part of the X-Men 97 experience wasn't the stuff on the screen in those 30 some odd minutes. It's what we're doing right now. It's really how it brought us together. It gave us something to talk about. It gave us stuff to debate about. It checked in with our own feelings about the issues that it tackled, which is something as X-Men fans we've been yearning for. And Lord knows we're not going to do that after X-Men Dark Phoenix by Simon Kinberg. So it finally gave us something more than a television show. It gave us an experience that we were looking for, and the format was conducive to that.
X-Men! Ash, could you give us your rating for this episode, please?
AE. This was the big flashbang wallop finale for me. I loved some parts of it. I don't know why. I'm a real geek for mind visualization. So the whole thing about Magneto basically seeing his history as like these uncontrollable tides that batter against one sanctuary. I can't stand the waves against my window.
Bringing back sweet memories.
Okay, all right, go. Let's wrap it up. But yeah, I love those things. You know, it gives inside out in a way that I like. Like, oh, that's what it looks like. I'm always a bit nosy when they go in someone's room. What's going on in there? But that was really interesting. I love the fights of it. Anytime somebody starts to throw hands, I'm in. And so I wanted more throwing hands. And something that Brett said earlier, actually, that sparked the thought is in the same way that they killed all of the regular people and then tried to talk around the half-robot maniac, I feel like they killed the wrong people.
Okay.
You've got the humans that we dropped off mid-season. Rogue did a lot of killing. I was like, yeah, fair enough. But then you've got characters like Sinister and like Bastion, who you could arguably resurrect. You know, sometimes, you know, Disney loves a little like the worm wriggling off into the shadows. You've destroyed the body, but one little atom gets away. That was the time I wanted to see that. I wanted to see the symbolic destruction of it because like cancer and chemo are not just as bad as each other, actually. And it doesn't matter how many times you try to present that. And like squash them. I really wanted to see them squashed, and that took down points. And I just love that Jubilee bit. The thing that keeps it up there is the Jubilee bit. Like, smash it. Ooh, that was the most cathartic moment of me. Like the youngest one, when she was like, nah, fuck all this. I don't feel like any of you bitches here are doing enough.
Yeah.
Incredible.
For my end, I would give it, I think I'm like on alignment with a lot of you. I would give it an 86. I agree with all the points that you guys made. I think that the issues that have been bubbling under throughout the 10 episodes about us being unsure about where the politics are going to go is coming out in the wash now, and I'm not completely happy with it. And I think, like I said earlier, their show has a bit of an issue with pushing the most marginalized characters in the forefront, and I think it's important that they hopefully will invest to do that. But I gotta take a second to like give a shout out to the storyboarders, the animators, the people who are putting this show together for us visually. They've given us the best Marvel animation thing, point blank, period. So like, you know, flowers to you all. Really like an amazing job. Well done. I would have given it an 85, but I gave it an 86 because it did give me opportunity to bring back our regular segment. Khalid does an impression of Storm. None choose to be born, Bastion. That's why we must never begrudge them being.
Ice wins.
Storm. Thank you so much. Thank you. This has been Khalid as an impression of Storm.
Amazing.
All right. Now, moving on. Just to wrap up this conversation, I will shoot 4 questions at you. Quick fire. You can answer with a sentence or a small paragraph. So, are we ready?
Ready.
Yes.
Winner of the episode.
X-Men.
Ash, can you please give me your winner of the episode?
Jubilee.
Say why.
Jubilee. Full growth. Total growth. Used everything she had. Contextualized every mission she's been on. Yeah, she won me over. Like she'd been a part of this and she jumped up the rankings in that last bit. I think it was great. She stepped into the center of what the episode was. She's the winner for me.
Lovely. EvilJeff, can you please give me your winner of the episode?
I'm gonna go with Jean. She pulled out Miss Firebird. So and then she got to see her kid, and then she's like, my kid. Well, not my clone's kid. Yay.
And there are all sorts of different families, Kitty.
The stepmom.
How about you, Brett? Can you give me your winner of the episode and tell us why?
I'm going to go with Bishop because he just proved that he was completely unbothered by all of it. And he's living his piece. He just like strolled back in at the end and was like, yeah, that was crazy, right? All right. So here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Also, he got himself a nice lineup, you know, he got a nice fade going.
Yep.
Also, did we all notice the fact that he waited until Jean was gone to come back from the past? He's like, I don't want her asking
He
me
lost
about
her
that
baby.
Don't ask me about that baby.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to
Dude,
that.
When he was going through that thing, he was like, "Whoa, uh-oh."
It was the barbershop where he left the baby.
Oh,
When he
yeah.
did the trim.
He left the baby in the chair.
He put that baby down.
Yep.
For my end, I will give the winner of the episode to Sunspots because he put down the Fair and Lovely, and that's a win for all the light skins out there. This one's for you.
He said, "Now's the time
Moving
to
on.
be black." I've been hiding out with dark skin from my parents this whole time.
All right, moving on. Could you please give me your loser of the episode? Brett.
Oh, obviously Storm.
I do not want to comment.
Say why.
Storm. I mean, she tore a nation asunder with her lack of action.
Obviously, I'm just like wanting to get this over with and get on with my life. This is a big inconvenience for me.
It just didn't. She earned the right to lead. She earned the right to decide on her terms how it was going to end. Arguably, she did, but it just felt like it was they did not lock the dismount on the end of the Storm character arc, to say the least.
Ash, give me your loser of the episode, please.
Sinister.
Say why.
Base level gay insecurity. Like, imagine going through all of that, and then the thing that actually defeats you is being ugly at the end.
I hope next season there's a scene of him like just looking in the mirror while "Unpretty" by TLC plays. We need more needle drops in this show.
The whole world was about to be destroyed, and he looked and went, "Wait, hold on, the Botox." Oh no, it's over. And he ran away in like shin high pond water. And it's like, where are you running to, bitch? There's an asteroid. Like, you don't see what's going on. It was hilarious. He looked like an albino walnut, and then he decided that it was a wrap.
It's always sad to see an old twink, like confront
still in the club. Still in the club. Twinkie.
Yeah.
What do you call a twink once he turns 30?
What?
A twas?
A drug addict. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Moving on. EvilJeff, could you please give me your loser of the episode?
Mine is, it's because someone had the actor's nightmare playing a coma the whole episode. Wolverine. Poor Wolverine. Did nothing, just laying there. And then he's like, is that Jean saying she loves me? No. Or did he want it to be Morph? What is Wolverine? Is Wolverine a cock tease? That's what I also want to know.
I think they're fully together.
No, are they together as Morph, or is he like, what is this? Turn into Jean?
I think Morph is whoever Wolverine wants that night. I think he'll give him like a little bit of like.
But if Wolverine only wants it as Jean, I think that's an issue, which I want to be explored in X-Men '98 Season 2.
Who among us has not been with a kind of questioning person who had to close their eyes or think of something else or was trying it like that? There was a lot of like uncomfortable, maybe honest truth in that dynamic.
100%. I mean, there is like a particular friendship that I'm like, oh my God, is that what we look like? Oh
yeah, the watching porn over somebody's shoulder dynamic that they have.
Asking them if they just wanted to bust a nut real quick. And they're like, no, and you're like, oh fuck, okay.
Oh God, anyway, for my loser of the episode, I would also give it to Jean because she thought she got away with it with Nathan not having that kid, but Rachel popped up. She's about to pull a surprise bitch on that bitch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if there's a kid that Jean hates, it's Rachel.
Oh,
don't say this.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Jean hates Rachel so
much.
Another
one.
Also, Jean Grey is the ultimate surrogate, like C-section, where she has 2 kids and not one came out of her womb.
Not one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not one.
We've talked about it.
I'm gonna have future me have you.
It's the
has to be perfect.
It's the Madonna matron thing where if they were going to sell the comics to teenage boys as her as a viable part of that love triangle, the thing that makes her deeply unsexy is having babies. So everybody else had babies around her, but she stayed young and unmotherly so that you could keep buying into her being a desirable center between the most boring love triangle of the franchise.
Can you please give me your queerest moments of the episode? Let us begin with Ash.
Morph
Say more.
Making a heartbreaking, slightly creepy slightly inappropriate admission. There was a lot of yearning in that. I feel like changing into Jean is what maybe crossed the line and made it a bit fucking weird. Could have just, he's in a coma. I mean, it's fine. A lot of his insides are out. You could probably just drop that. I kind of like you, actually. Like, the shoulder hair really does it for me. Like, you probably could have just said that. You would have been okay. How can you ever truly judge an unnecessarily dramatic queer? Yeah, it was unnecessarily performative and dramatic while also being yearny and a bit unreciprocated. So all the hits.
Yeah, Luca Guadagnino, there is your next adaptation right there.
Call me by your face. Call me by your face.
Oh no, I just came up with a plot in my head. Anyway, all right, EvilJeff, can you please give me your queerest moment of the episode?
Oh my god, the amount of times of Xavier and Magneto like, you are my best friend. Like, I'm just fucking make out, Jesus. That whole thing inside the head was just gay.
Agreed. How about you, Brett? Can you please give me yours?
Yeah, definitely like that Xavier look. I saw somebody post like that shot of Xavier looking at Magneto from the beginning of the episode, describing the look in his eyes as the water came out clear look. And I was like, that is the ultimate. That's exactly what those eyes are saying. I'm going to go with Sunspot because I really felt like he was going to come out to Jubilee in that moment where he was like, we all know how this is going to end for me. I don't know how to use my power, so I'm probably going to die. So what I wanted to say to you was, I've never felt any sexual chemistry with you at all.
Wait. Jubilee is collecting so many unnecessary lashes.
That's what happens when you have us on. I'm so sorry, Ash.
What did she
She
do?
has a yellow pleather trench coat on. She can take it.
Yeah, that is true.
She says it's fine. Just buy me another outfit.
For my end, I would give my queerest moment of the episode. I completely agree. I think it is Xavier and Magneto. Did you know Bastion threw the first brick at Stonewall aiming at Xavier's head at the time?
Oh. That's where they were. They weren't in Vietnam. They were at the Stonewall.
They were at the Stonewall Inn. That's what was
actually
happening.
that was an accurate depiction of the Stonewall Inn. Like, I mean, the broken windows, all of it.
So
Go there today. Cosplay.
Now that we're here, how do we get back?
I like this place that we're in. And that takes us to our final question of the evening. Can you, Ash, please give me your blackest moment of the episode?
X-Men! Storm laughing when Jean came up out of the bathwater. You know when someone's been stressing you, I think this is a fairly broad black experience, but when someone's been pissing you off and then that one cousin that you've got turns up at the function and the tide changes, that is what that storm laugh was. She said, yeah, you bitch is about to meet her now. And I mean, it shouldn't have been Storm, but I did feel there was blackness in that moment when I saw that happen. I was like, I get you, sis.
I love that. How about you, Brett? Can you give me, would you like to give me your blackest moment of the episode?
Gosh, this is going to come through so authentic. Why don't we just go with the fact that the non-passing mutants were just completely looked over and that a story that purported to be about them in no way, shape, or form wanted their voice at all. I would say that felt like the blackest moment to me. The whitest moment was anything Jean Grey did.
I love that you started your blackish moment by unironically saying "gosh." That was cherry on the cake. That was perfect.
Amazing. How about you, EvilJeff? Can you give me your blackest or whitest or both moment of the episode?
I think my blackest moment is just going to be all of Storm's secret arc that wasn't written into the show.
Yeah.
The reason she was holding back is she's like, just gonna let all these white people kill each other.
Just these people are fucking crazy.
Storm is waiting for everybody to die so she can take over the mansion.
Yeah, that's what they didn't show her at the very end of the show, because she actually she fucking left and she's just like
she took on the identity of Vivica A. Fox. That's why things got messy for her around those 19 years.
Yeah.
If the one thing that Bob Demare was not going to do was take a black woman back to ancient Egypt, they didn't want to talk about none of that shit. They said, when we have to go to the past, Storm is not involved.
I will say, this is something I did want to make sure I mentioned. As a Black and Era person, the second I see camels, I just clench. So let's just stand together in prayer, my brethren.
I'm not gonna say it. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm begging that. Okay.
You stay quiet. You stay right there.
Elimination target marked.
Yeah.
For my end, I will give the blackest moments of the episode to Polaris, who did not show up because I assume she had a perm appointment to keep. That's very black to me.
Nah, take it back. Take it back. Take it back.
No.
Take it back. You're about to be out. I will make
You can
4
kick me
calls
out.
and you'll be out. You'll be out.
What are the phone calls? I want to know who are the phone calls. Give them to you right now. Give me names.
The Loose Curl Association. The Voting for Polaris and some Black Shit Association. And the What the Fuck Are You Talking About Association.
They've been around for decades.
I'm surprised any Loose Curl Association will take the calls from the like of you, Mr. Medium Ball. Sniper! Well, let's not get there.
Listen, my thing is shining.
Oh, shit. It all falls apart.
This shit here makes you so aerodynamic. I'm so aerodynamic, I get into every room.
Great. Then I hope you can get to the room as far away from mine. Thank you so much.
I will slide in on my head. Yeah? I will slide in on my bald head like Chris Brown in Stomp the Yard. Don't fuck with me.
Not Chris Brown.
You know when he did the sliding headstand? Don't fuck around.
Chris Brown is the most apt comparison I could make with you. Moving on swiftly, as I was saying. Thank you so much, EvilJeff, and thank you so much, Brett, for joining us on this, the final episode. This officially completes episode 10. I love you, Ash.
Well done, everybody. Well done, X-Men 97.
Congrats on a good run. And now, is it over? Are you two separating? Are you splitting?
After that conversation, yes.
You should hear the way you talk to each other off air.
And that was episode 10. Thank you so much for listening. You can find Brett on Instagram at BRETTMANNES. That is at BrettMans on Instagram. You can find EvilJeff at EvilJeff on Instagram as well. And you can find them both at Comic Book Queers on Instagram. EvilJeff also has a new project out that you definitely need to check out. Drag Me to the Movies is streaming every Wednesday for the next couple of weeks on WoW Presents Plus. This podcast is co-hosted by Ash Alleyne from the X of Words podcast. You can find him at Van the First and at X of Words on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else. This podcast was also co-hosted and produced by Dr. Khaliden Nas. That is me. You can find me at AlsoPerp on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. Ash and I will be back with you for one last special mailbag episode before we close out the 97 sessions, and we're bringing along with us some very special friends. In the meantime, why don't you send some questions in for that mailbag if you haven't already to 97sessions@gmail.com. And that's it for now. Leave us a good review, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.